I Know What You Did Last Summer. As far as I'm concerned, the 1997 original is the only good entry into the franchise yet. And this weekend we do have the release of the new I Know What You Did Last Summer, a film that follows up the first two films in the franchise, ignoring the third direct-to-video release. Now previously I did review this film on VHS, you can check that out if you're interested. This is a movie from 1997, based on the 1973 novel by Lois Duncan. Lois Duncan has a tragic history with this movie. You know, her daughter was actually murdered, and she really didn't appreciate this movie turning her book into a slasher. Let's get into the blood. Welcome back to the Ecto Violence channel. My name is Alec. So let's get right into these kills, okay? First of all, I do want to say we're not including David Egan in this list. It sets off the plot events of the movie, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. But first up, we do have Max. Now, Max is played by Johnny Galecki. Johnny Galecki is a very interesting person. I personally really don't like The Big Bang Theory. I'm not into that show. But Johnny Galecki was also in this. He was also in Christmas Vacation, which is maybe one of the best Christmas movies, if not the best Christmas movie of all time. And his character is very interesting. You know, a lot of people say that he doesn't deserve to die. His death is out of place. And I definitely agree with that. But that isn't all that I'm considering when I'm ranking these deaths. I have to consider that this death on screen is one of the bloodiest. And that's because originally the character of Max did not die in this movie. This was something that they fixed in reshoots. They figured this movie needed another kill. It needed more blood.
I've gone through the least amount of blood I've ever done in anything I've done before.
Which is crazy to think about, too, because it's not just a horror film, it's a slasher. And it is, to be honest, one of the least bloody slashers out there. But the character of Max, his actual death, the way it goes down, it is easily S tier for me. And I will elaborate further on this, okay? Max not only gets the actual hook in his, throat there, his, jaw, whatever you want to say, his mouth. Then we actually see some blood around from it. We have this sort of visceral reaction to being dragged by a hook in your throat like that. This is one of the most effective kills in the movie, and my God, I am glad they went back and reshot and added this to it. But I will say I do agree that this death doesn't exactly make much sense. He's completely innocent. However, another part of me ranking this in the S tier is how we find his corpse later, in Julie's trunk covered in crabs. That scene makes me skeevy. Now that being said, it's also one of the scenes that leads to the what are you waiting for, you know? And I think people have mixed feelings on this. Jennifer Love Hewitt herself seems to think that people actually just really enjoy it and think it's like a brilliant performance move.
Then we were doing it, and it was amazing, and it looked cool, and then did and not everybody loves it.
And for those of you who don't know, this was based on a kid who won a contest coming onto the set and basically directing this scene and saying...
He was like, I want her to stand in the street and turn around and just, scream, what are you waiting for, huh? And I was literally like, are you kidding me right now?
And because so many people have now at this point made it a meme, I think Jennifer Love Hewitt misinterprets that. But hey, what do I know? The next kill up is Barry Cox, the character played by Ryan Phillippe. One of the most interesting things about him is he was apparently one of the rumored choices to play Anakin Skywalker originally in Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. And he honestly does give a really good performance in this movie as kind of just this macho short man syndrome asshole. And I don't think he's actually that short. He's just short in comparison to Freddie Prinze Jr., who you see hulking around like Frankenstein this whole fucking movie. I mean, if you were to kill anyone, this is the guy that deserves it the most out of all of these people. Just watch the beginning of the movie again if you don't believe me. Plus, it led to one of the best scenes in Scary Movie when Lachlan Monroe sort of plays the parody version of this character and finds a picture of his small wiener. But the thing is, we don't get to see a lot with this death. This should be one of our most satisfying deaths. And they kind of tease his death a little bit earlier. But what this death does have going for it is Helen's raw reaction to it when she's on stage. That's what makes this one of the most iconic deaths from the movie. However, that's not going to save it. That's not going to make it, jump all the way up to S tier or anything. So we are going to throw Barry's death in the B tier. B for Barry. I do want to point out that I'm ranking these on a scale because how else are you supposed to rank movies like this? There has to be a best kill from the movie, and that should go in the S tier. Next up, we've got Officer Caparazen. Now, this guy, he is in a little bit of this movie. He's not in a whole bunch of it. He's interesting, right? There isn't a whole lot to say about this death other than the actual the scene itself, because you can bring up Sarah Michelle Gellar in the back of this cop car, just like in Scream 2, which came out the same year, which honestly kind of puts me down another pipeline. The Scooby-Doo connection of everything here. Obviously, Freddie Prinze Jr. played Fred, and Sarah Michelle Gellar played Daphne. Sarah Michelle Gellar was also in Scream 2. Matthew Lillard played Shaggy. He was in Scream. James Gunn wrote Scooby-Doo. James Gunn just directed Superman. I Know What You Did Last Summer is coming out this week. Full circle, baby. I didn't even see Superman. Just don't have an interest, to be honest. Because we get to see the reactions of Jennifer Love Hewitt and Sarah Michelle Gellar here during this scene, we're going to throw him in A tier. I think it's a step above B, because the only good thing about Ryan Felipe's death was the reaction of Sarah Michelle Gellar to seeing him die. Then we have one of the most intense chase scenes from any slasher movie. Like, it actually works me up watching it. It reminds me of, like, that chase in Point Break. Now, am I insane for comparing this chase to the infamous chase scene from Point Break? Probably. I probably am. Lock me up. Because then she goes to her sister, Helen Shivers, who's played by Bridget Wilson, who you may recognize from Mortal Kombat as Sonya Blade, Billy Madison, House on Haunted Hill. It seems she's kind of done acting these days, but honestly, what a legend of, like, 90s movies, you know what I mean? And her death, again, was another one that was reshot because it wasn't bloody enough. And I personally think they could have reshot something even better than just, like, adding blood, basically. You could have done that in post, shit. You know what I mean? You could have just made some more interesting deaths, because overall, they aren't the best part of this movie. You know, the mystery, the whodunit of it all, and the setting, the vibes of this movie, I would say, are better than the actual kills. That being said, we're going to throw her also in the B tier, because it's not entirely useless, it's not trash. It's still spooky, and all these movies kind of have a few of these kills sometimes, especially during, like, the 80s and 90s when they were starting to crack down on super bloody movies, you know? I don't mean starting to, I just mean cracking down on them more. And then we've got our last kill, Sarah Michelle Gellar. Wow, what a year for her. She was in this, Scream 2, and Buffy the Vampire Slayer's first season. Like, and then she was in Scooby-Doo. It's, like, perfect. We love to see spooky stuff. And that's why I think nerds were so obsessed with Sarah Michelle Gellar back in the day. It was all of this stuff, you know what I mean? If you were into horror in the 90s, you were going to see Sarah Michelle Gellar in something. Again, I mentioned her chase scene. It ends up leading into an alleyway where she almost gets safe. And it's so frustrating every time I watch this because you think she's going to survive, and she doesn't. In fact, when I saw Scream 6, this is the scene that I thought of, because it's like you're so close to other people and, like, safety and someone to help you, but so far away at the same time. Now, this is the last actual confirmed kill of this movie, but like I said before, I wasn't going to count David Egan. Freddie Prinze Jr. has said he almost died during the making of this because the director and him were feuding. He was not the first choice for the director, and basically almost got killed in, like, a boating accident. And then we have the actual ending of the movie, which I guess you could say isn't canon, but at the same time you could just call it a dream. Because in the next movie she's having all these nightmares, basically, and trauma from the events of the first film. And funny enough, the second movie sort of ends the same way. I wonder if they're going to completely ignore that in this new one, because they've said in this new one they're ignoring the third movie, which sort of Jason Voorhees, Ben Willis. So we're definitely going to throw her death in the S tier. Just being so close to surviving and help. I don't know. That scene does something for me. It's kind of tied in with Elsa's death, but... So that's how I'd rank these. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. How would you rank them? I would love to hear about it. And if you like this video, be sure to check out this one and hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching.